Hey, I'm John Watkins, and it's time for Breaking Nashville. Let's Get It On by Capitol Records artist Joey Hyde, and this is Breaking Nashville, introducing you to the next rising stars on Music Row. In fact, make sure you're following us on Twitter. It's at Breaking Nash. Facebook, of course, our website, breakingnashvillepodcast.com. I've got Twitter at John Watkins Host, but most importantly, Joey Hyde is sitting in studio with us. Do you listen to any podcasts?
There's one that we listen to on the road with the band, and it's a drumming podcast. It's super music nerdy. My drummer found it, but I'm a huge drum fan. I love drummers.
Yeah.
So it's this dude that just interviews big name drummers, but they're like an hour and a half. So they end up just being these long-winded conversations,
right?
Talking about all the gigs they've had. And
how much can you talk about with drumming, though?
So much.
And you get into, and you're into it?
I'm a total drum nerd. Wow. I'm a drummer that just can't play.
You can keep a beat, obviously.
I can keep a little beat.
Yeah,
but I'm not good.
Can I hear Can I hear some drums? We're recording. That's beatbox.
I don't know.
That's the crazy thing about podcasts, though, is like someone will go, "Yeah, I'll listen to an hour and a half of drumming," and you do.
We're on the road for so long.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, we got a 10-hour drive. We can listen to two of these. Like one earlier, one later, and then do music in between.
You could do a twofer of just drumming, is what you're telling me.
I might be able to do a threefer if it's the right drummers.
Man, I don't know about that. Pop culture, maybe for me. Like if someone talks about movies, I could do a 2-hour, podcast.
What's your favorite movie?
Tombstone.
No shit.
Yeah, come on. Yours too?
Doc Holliday. It's the best character in movie history.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
I'll be your. Hey.
Did we become best friends? Is that what just happened here?
Do you want to go do karate in the garage?
I do, yes.
I got ones for the each of you.
Joey Hyde is joining us with Breaking Nashville, and you can follow him on Twitter at Joey Hyde. How long have you been doing your radio tour? For those who don't know, the way it works is you get signed by a record label, and then at some point they want to promote you. So you go out on tour, you meet a lot of radio stations and program directors and fans of the radio stations to grow your own fan base.
That's exactly it.
So what week are we in right now?
I think this is week 8. So this is the West Coast is actually the last territory I need to hit.
Yeah.
But I actually found out yesterday that I'm going to Florida next week to do another week of radio tour. So I've kind of been all over the country the last 2 months or so.
Do you remember the first radio station of your radio tour?
I do. It was Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
I believe.
Was it weird? Were you nervous?
No, because when I moved to Nashville, I moved there just to be a guitar player. So I did the side guy thing for so long and have done radio visits with other artists. So I've kind of been the fly on the wall,
right?
If you would, and got to watch the conversations and what the different scenarios could look like. And there's definitely been a huge learning curve being the artist and doing it. But I feel like I got a good foundation. From being a musician. It's
like, in radio, when you take the step from being a producer or someone off air to all of a sudden be given a mic going, hey, lead this. Because now everyone's looking at you and saying, hey, this is your carear.
Yep.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's you don't get to hide.
Right.
There's no hiding. So it's a different approach.
Are you, do you drink?
I dabble.
You dabble? I should have a bar during these podcasts.
I'm kidding. Where is it?
No, I should.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah. I do a little more than dabble. Sorry, Mom.
Well, I'm wondering because when you're on something like this for 8 weeks, and not only are you going to radio stations every morning, sometimes early, a lot of times they're asking you to perform late at night. Mm-hmm. Are you trying to just stay focused and you're not even drinking because you got to watch The Voice?
I think up front, I was being very, very cautious just to get my feet wet. But as it's gone on, it's just you just kind of roll with it.
It's part of the rock star lifestyle.
Well, it not even. I don't want to say that. It makes me sound like a complete jackass. But it's a podcast. But more than anything, it's just a good, if someone else is having a beer and you have a beer with them, it's an instant kind of icebreaker.
Completely.
So it makes people comfortable.
How many like steak dinners? A lot of times when you do these radio tours, program directors want the steak dinner, the wine, the appetizer ahead of time.
Yeah, I've had more steak in the last 8 weeks than I've had in my whole life. I think I'm getting gout already. Like my knuckles are starting to flare up.
Do you feel like you're gaining weight, or are you trying to at least during the day go for a run?
Oh no, I've gained a little weight.
You have, you can tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I've heard other artists say, "Oh, promo tour is the fattest I've ever been."
Yeah, you never hear someone going, "Man, I want to go back on promo tour."
No, and here's the thing: it's not like I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, like people ask me, "Well, what do you do all day? Like, what does it look like?" It's like, well, someone tells me where to be, so I go, and someone else is in charge of my whole schedule, so I don't really have to think too much. And then I go and hang out with people for like an hour or two and talk about music and shoot the shit. And most everyone's really cool.
But isn't it a blur? Isn't there a point where you don't even remember where you've been?
A little bit, but I mean, you get unique experiences at all of them. Mm-hmm. For the most part, there's always one little anecdote or something that can kind of cut through. So, I mean, even this, we're in week 8, and this is going to be the podcast day.
Right.
I've never done a podcast, so...
And now you can put that on the list.
Now I can put it on the list.
What's been the worst experience? And I know that's hard because obviously you're starting your career, but has there been one where you walked in and, like, let's say the program director ended up not showing up, or...
Yeah, I mean, there's been stuff like that, for sure. Honestly, the worst part about it is if we have to do, like, a morning show and I have to wake up early.
Yeah.
Because I played like Lower Broadway in Nashville and the honky tonk scene for so long, where it was 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., which ended up being 2:30 a.m. Then he wouldn't get home till 3:30 by the time he got paid and everything. Go to bed at 4. So I kind of did that schedule for so many years. I'm a night owl, so getting up and doing some of the morning stuff can be a little rough.
Yeah, you just gotta have a good cry. That's what I do.
I just need a hug.
Right.
No, but the thing that's crazy is I get there and I'm like, dragging. I had to wake up at 7.
Yeah.
And like these morning DJs, they're up at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I wake up at 4.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it never gets easy.
No.
Let me tell you.
I'm going to bed when you guys are getting up.
Right. Way to make me feel bad. I got to do that again tomorrow.
No, it's insane.
Hey, you talked about you did the promo tours as a hired gun. Pretty much what happens is when someone's doing a tour, they need a guitarist, and they find a good musician like yourself, and so you go with them.
Yep.
When you do it, do you usually get a few rehearsal dates, or are you meeting this artist day of and you're walking into a station?
Every one of them's different.
Really?
Every situation's different. I've had situations where I've had to rehearse 4 times for a 6-song showcase because the person's just really anal about it. And I've had other situations where I'm meeting the artist at the Connection Airport the day of the gig. So it just depends. It depends.
And then you walk into the station, and I'll tell you, on our end, it's always weird because you need to talk to the artist, the one who they're pushing, but at the same time, there's like a support crew around this artist. So do you just try your best to stay in the back, or that's your goal?
Yep. Just fade in with the scenery.
Who have you been on promo tour with?
I did a lot of promo stuff. And it wasn't so much promo tours, more like just radio pop-ins and stuff.
Okay.
I did a lot with James Wesley years ago. I was with him for a while. Trying to think if I did any radio stuff with Florida Georgia Line, but I played guitar for them for a little bit. They're old college buddies. So.
Was that before they kind of signed with or were played on Sirius XM?
Yeah, I actually remember them bringing crews to my basement rehearsal space on like an iPhone work tape.
Really?
Yeah, I mean we're old buddies, and even I think even as recent as like a year and a half ago, I filled in for them on bass just because they needed someone. Their bass players.
So they brought you crews, and you heard it, and you said, "This is a flop. This will never work." Or
no, I heard it was like, "Oh yeah, that's a hook."
So you knew
that's a hook. Yeah, actually, I remember Brian showing me in the car one time the demo of Shine On, and looking at him and going, dude, you guys got it figured out. Like, that was the one that really clicked for me, and I looked at them like, oh yeah, this is about to be huge.
The talk in the radio community with Florida Georgia Line is that they never had to do what you're doing right now. They never did the promo tour because what happened was SiriusXM played their music, and they had a lot of downloads, so they suddenly got signed, and they were opening up for big acts.
Yeah, and they were laying that groundwork a lot, and I don't think people saw that as much with touring. I mean, when I was out with them, we were opening for like Corey Smith, Colt Ford, Brantley, stuff like that. But they were gaining 500 to 1,000 fans a night.
They were doing the Eric Church thing where you're out on tour every day and you're just building this big fountain.
They were out every